Hello, YNABers. My name is Jesse Meekum, and this is podcast number 336 for YNAB, where we teach you 4 rules to help you stop living paycheck to paycheck, get out of debt, and save more money. What happens if you are in a relationship where you're sharing finances and one of the partners, spouses in that situation isn't really into the whole budget thing? We've talked about this before. I have a couple ideas for you. One is it's totally okay, very normal. It would probably be abnormal if both were into budgeting. So it's very normal if you have one side of the relationship, one person who's just more into it, who balances things, who looks at the budget more often, who cares more, frankly. And that's just the way it is. That's how it is with me and Julie. And sometimes I've wished in kind of this like whiny way, like, oh, I wish you were more into this. But at the end of the day, it really is okay. You know, I'm not into some things that she's really into and wishes I were more into. It's just the way it goes. So that's not a bad thing if the person just isn't as into it. So that's one point. Number two, you do need to be aware of the fact that there are the upbringing of people will cloud a lot of things, especially early on, if they haven't really learned what budgeting means. So a lot of times you can learn a lot about your second half if you would just ask what things were like as it relates to money in their household growing up. How did their parents behave or act? And was money taboo, or was it something that was totally on the table? Did it always precede some kind of an argument? And there can be a lot of stress and just kind of learning that's happened that people don't even realize. And what happens is if you can start talking about other people, mainly parents, and I don't mean to say that you're gossiping or anything like that, but I have a hard time thinking you're gossiping if you simply are talking to your spouse. Anyway, you talk about your parents, and you talk about how, what money was like growing up. And instead of talking about your spouse, you're talking about this thing that's external, they. Tell me more about that. How did that make you feel? What did you learn from that? Do you feel like any of that stuck with you? Do you feel like you've tried to go the opposite direction? And then they're just kind of sharing their life. And if you've got a good relationship, that's been a normal part of it from the outset. So that can help your counterpart be more self-aware as it relates to the money. So then when they feel some resistance bubbling up inside as you broach the subject of budgeting, you both can kind of say, oh, that's probably, probably because, for you, budgeting has been this very negative thing. Any kind of money talk was always associated with maybe fighting or something. So let's make sure that we're aware of that. And we recognize that as I'm talking to you about this, it's nothing of the sort. I feel no contention. I feel no, I'm just working through something. I'm clipping my fingernails, nothing more, nothing less, that kind of a thing. I'm just doing some chores, and there's no emotional baggage to address. That can help because they're more self-aware. They're like, that's me. That's kind of that old thing I've been doing, and here I'm responding that way again. I can feel it, and you can talk about it kind of from third-party observer standpoints instead of being right there in the mix where things are emotional and can be pretty intense sometimes. And they surprise you sometimes, actually, when that happens. Another thing is you can't always just frame budgeting, not always, but a lot of the time, just try and frame budgeting as the positive, where you are just saying, hey, we've been setting money aside to go out. Let's go out. Like, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's go eat out, or let's go on this vacation where you've just been setting aside a little bit of money. It can even be something like, an overnighter or something, nothing too extravagant, but just say, hey, the budget made this happen. I know I've mentioned that before on the podcast. Make the budget an ally for that person, a tool that allows them to get what they want. If you, I'm taking up a new hobby, woodworking at the moment, enjoying myself immensely. So of course there are all of a sudden lots of tools that one might say one needed, and you could do a little digging and figure out what tool your spouse maybe would want if they were a budding woodworker, and then save up for it and buy it for him. Say, I budgeted for it for over a couple months, and here you go. Is this for my birthday? No, I just budgeted for it. We had the money, and we're still hitting our other goals, but I found room in the budget to, buy you this bandsaw. I hope Julie's hearing that. Anyway, that's one option. It can be something smaller than a bandsaw as well. Doesn't need to be a big deal again. If your counterpart is actively sabotaging your budget, if there is genuine sabotage, you need to talk it out, and you need to be serious about it, and you need to potentially have someone help you talk through it, because sabotaging anything in a relationship is just no good. No good at all. And I am no therapist. I go see one monthly, but that a therapist does not me make, if that made any sense at all. So, go see someone. See if you can talk through these issues. Say, I have a really specific issue that I'd like to discuss. Every time I want to try and work together on a plan for our money, I feel like he or she is sabotaging, and I want to talk that through. And I guarantee you'll find some stuff out. Now, for you, that you're just so into the budget, you're so on top of things, it brings you joy to load it up and move money around and all that. It may be that you are taking it too far. And you may want to take a step back and just say, am I hitting my big goals? Are we getting out of debt? Are we getting out of debt at a reasonable pace? Are we saving money? Are we saving money at a reasonable pace? Are we bumping up what we save every once in a while, trying to get a little more aggressive, being able to set ourselves up for a very nice, self-reliant retirement? Good. And if you're checking off those boxes of we're not going into debt, we're getting out, we're saving money for retirement, we're building our nest egg, we're adding to our net worth. If you're checking those boxes and it's a pace that is promising, then it may be that you need to just kind of dial it back, maybe cut back on the granularity in the budget and just say, hey, I'm hitting the big things. We're not going into debt. We're going out. We're piling up money, increasing our worth. And by that I mean net worth, not self-worth, because you are of infinite worth, my friend. But anyway, net worth is increasing. Debt is decreasing. You're piling up money. You're checking boxes. You're hitting your goals. Maybe you ought to just relax. And that's something I say to myself fairly regularly, because I'm ever optimizing, always trying to squeeze a little more out of this or that. And, at the end of the day, sometimes that can be kind of exhausting for the other person in the relationship that isn't built to be an ever optimizer. So, until next time, follow YNAB's 4 rules and you will win financially. You've never budgeted like this.